All right, go for it.
Good morning, everyone. It's the notorious, glorious V the Gorilla Condoms coming to you live. And we are with El Cuco and it's Rogue News in the morning. We're bringing the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out, roguenews.com. Follow us on Twitter at Real Rogue News. And Rogue News on every single podcasting app known to humanity. We are there. We are there. We are everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. With that being said, check out our sponsors, mycbdedibles.com, mycbdedibles.com. Folks, whether you've all heard it, you know CBD is hot. You know it's an amazing, amazing product. You know the health benefits that our people are raging about. Well, now you can get your CBD oil and you get your CBD fix the best way, which is all sorts of deliciousness. Whether you want to get a granola bar, whether you want to get a pecan almond coconut truffle, or you want to get a chocolate peanut butter buckeye, my personal favorite, go to mycbdedibles.com. Maybe you don't want to eat it. Maybe you want to get that delicious, smooth, robust cup of coffee, that delicious roast right there from mycbdedibles.com. Folks, that's the place to go. Get your CBD edibles. And Siege, we got any specials running this week?
Yeah, we're going to be breaking something. We need to look at our inventory numbers, and we'll be breaking something this week.
Fantastic. Ooh, I think I dropped something. I don't know what that was. But anyway, let's check out Watch Us Trade, folks. The cryptoschool.io. The cryptoschool.io. Get over there and get it done for yourself, or you go to watchustrade.live. Amazing place where you have your options. You can pay in Bitcoin over at the Watch Us Trade Live, right there in Bitcoin. I think there's still a discount for 6-month membership. Go there, get it done. Get yourself some trades. Get your trading on, your trade game on. Make it happen for yourself. And also check out remaincom.net. Remaincom.net. Whether you need personal funding, you need your credit repaired, whatever the heck it is, you head over there. You got collectors after you. Go to remaincom.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm. And with that being said, Cuco, what's going on?
Good morning, good lad. I'm doing great, man. You know, it's Monday, starting off the week. I apologize, we're getting on a little bit late today. Had a meeting to get to and everything else, but I think the talk right now, V, from the weekend is the absolute Facebook purge of all counter narratives, counter news, real news. And I think the thing that's scary, V, is that it's not only like the Free Thought Project. I mean, you're talking like millions upon followers. This is the counter people, the people that really look at the media kind of like us, that, you know, with the counter narrative, explaining the truth, exactly what's going on. But they also went off after some individual people as well, V.
See, why don't you break that down? Like when you say individual people, who the hell did they go after? We knew that this was coming. We knew Mark Zuckerberg replaced the Z, put an F in there. Mark Zuckerberg replaced the Z, put an F in there. Well, what what is this evil curmudgeon? This android disguised as a human? What is he doing?
Well, there's quite a few. So the Freedom Thought Project was taken down, which is one of our favorite sites. The Anti-Media, which is well over 1 million followers, but then also specifically
they took out the Anti-Media.
Yeah, the Anti-Media, they took them down. There's another page called Police the Police that talks a lot about different various police brutality. How let's face it, in any type of industry, there's good and bad actors. I don't care what industry you're in. And so all these pages were taken down, but then when you take a look at it, like for example, and we've interviewed her before, and specifically she just got hired on at the BBC, and maybe that's why Rachel Blevins, who had upwards of 500,000,
she got hired at the RT, bro.
Not BBC. Exactly. So that's probably why they ripped her down, took her completely off of Facebook. Now, one can ask several questions of why this is happening. There's a lot of conversations that, hey, the midterms are coming up, and that's specifically why. I think that's just one part of it. But when you look, V, for the past 2 to 5 years, the amount of people that have been red pilled, the amount of distrust in government, the amount of distrust in big pharma, the amount of the truth that's coming out in regards to, you name it, whether it's vaccines, whether it's these illegal wars. I think that they understand, V, that they have completely lost the ability in any type of confidence that the American people have in those legacy systems, the MSM, the government, the disruption that's occurred with cryptocurrency, with cannabis. And I think this is big picture. I think this is, their attempt to really try to control all that information. And yes, the elections do have something to do with it, but I think that's just one facet of it. I think there's a lot more sinister to this than just that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, man. I mean, when you look, I can't emphasize how many times we've said it, Siege. I can't emphasize it enough. People need to stop going to these social network ghettos, these internet ghettos, and I don't know how else I could put it. I mean, Siege and I have advocated many times, hey, get over to Minds, get over to Steemit, get over to DTube. Heck, we're there. We're in every single one of those new facilities. But the problem is this: you'll have 10 people that watch us on DTube, but you'll get like some upwards up to 20,000 people that will watch us on a particular video that we put on with a particular guest. That is the ridiculousness of it all, man. And so that is the whole entire thing. It's just like, it's we're comfortable. I think people are comfortable. They're comfortable. And isn't that like how it is in the ghetto, bro? I mean, once you're in the hood, the hardest thing is getting out of the hood. The biggest thing for people, quote unquote, in the hood is trying to get out because they've become so accustomed to the struggle. They become accustomed to the scraping by. They become accustomed to a particular way of life that they can't see anything better. And I think that's how it is with us, man. It's like we've gone accustomed to Facebook. So if we go to another platform, if it's not just like Facebook with the same widgets and the same buttons with the same actions, no, then it sucks. We're not going to be there. Or if it's not as easy peasy and it requires a little bit of a learning curve, then heck, man, I ain't gonna join. And a lot of these platforms that we're talking about, like Gab and Minds and Steemit and DTube and BitChute and all these other places, they are in development. So a lot of them are in a beta. A lot of them are not perfect, but they will become perfect the more people go there. So this is a problem at the end of the day, folks, of our own making. It's a problem of our own making. Until we get sick enough, and I think people are reaching that level, but we need to get sick enough to really push this over the edge and say, you know what, we don't need you guys. And at the end of the day, the libtards can hoot and holler. At the end of the day, they can get a mass protest by the tens of millions in the streets. But the power that we have, folks, is the power of the purse. The power that we have is that, demographically speaking, we are more far educated. Demographically speaking, we are higher income earners. Demographically speaking, we can vote with the most powerful weapon that we have, which is our money. And we need to put our money and our time, which is valuable, because time for us is valuable. We're not like these crazy far left-wing leftists who are out there in the streets wasting time, hooting and hollering. But time for us is valuable. And we can make that time to go to these alternative platforms and get our friends and our families onto these alternative platforms and make it happen.
It just really leaves you worrying about what's around the corner, right? I mean, whether it's political distress, whether it's the economy, and the amount of information, the amount of truth that came out from a lot of those channels was the counter narrative. And so they're really, and again, I know it's repeat. I know that we've said this numerous times. They're going to continue to do that. And we were one of the first, like there was so many other people, especially one group in particular, that when Alex Jones was taken down, and I know people are saying, oh, well, he's CIA and his family. I get all that. I was red pilled by Alex. I with everything that he's exposed, I don't know why they would release that amount of information to keep us at odds against each other. So even if he is, regardless, everyone is willing, has the ability to speak their mind, share their thoughts of what's happening. And when those groups were celebrating, when Alex Jones was taken down, we specifically knew that it wouldn't be much longer before they started. So again, it's the bigger ones today, the bigger platforms, but is it us right around the corner, V? That's what we should be questioning and asking ourselves right now. So again, the best thing you could do is go to roguenews.com. And, there's a pop-up that happens there to subscribe. If for some reason, if we're taken down literally today, tomorrow, whenever it is, that's how you're going to be able to stay informed as far as what changes we're making is. So go to roguenews.com, your email to subscribe. in the event with whether it's YouTube, Facebook, whatever type of platform. That way you can get an email notifying you if there's any major changes.
Yep, absolutely. And we're one of the last bastions out there giving you the geopolitical, geostrategic, global big picture here, more and better than anybody else. It's just basically, it's us, it's London Paul, it's Jim Willie. I can't think of anybody else that gives it to the audience better than we do. So I call us the Holy Trinity, Siege, the Holy Trinity.
Definitely.
Oh man. But anyway, dude, what do you want to get into, bro? What do you want to get into? You want to let's since we're on DC, Washington DC, and the idiots there, let's talk about how they can't simply help themselves, man. Did you see this new Siege? This is like hilarious to me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, absolutely. I did see it. Yes.
So the Democrats, right? The Democrats who are hooting and hollering, who are working themselves up into a tizzy. Okay, working themselves up into a tizzy in regards to Russia meddling, Russia hacking, Russian influence in elections. Well, here's from the Ron Paul Institute. Congress members urge Trump to meddle in Hungary's elections. Why? Because you got a guy there. You got a guy in Hungary who was like the former president of the Ukraine, whom they deposed, thanks to a $5 billion coup led by one of the deep state apparatchiks, which is Victoria Nuland, Victoria F. the EU Nuland. Well, we have over here Viktor Orban in Hungary. And there's no hypocrisy like Capitol Hill hypocrisy, CJ, because the Capitol Hill hypocrisy don't stop. Congressional Democrats have been beating their dead horse of Russian meddling for nearly 2 years, obsessed, literally, fomenting the mouth with claims that Russia hacked our democracy, and that a Facebook post from Russia-linked accounts are actually a massive Putin-led effort to make Americans lose faith in their democracy. To date, no evidence points to any significant or effective Russian government effort to alter the outcome of U.S. elections in any way. With each passing day, we learn more about how Russia hacked us, and it's a bunch of hot air. In fact, yesterday, award-winning investigative reporter Gareth Porter published an extensive report demolishing a recent 10,000-word New York Times piece on, quote, the influence of Russian social media over U.S. elections. It's a bunch of BS. And if folks remember correctly, CG, you probably remember this. What were these quote-unquote Facebook ads that turned the tide of American elections? American democracy was thwarted because of these Russian bots. It was a couple $100,000 worth of dog food ads. Did you know that, CJ? A few $100,000 worth of dog food ads was all that it took. All that it took to take down American democracy, according to the left. One of the loudest screaming voices, and here's the fact, you could only pull this on a dumb and idiotic population. Okay?
Absolutely.
You could only pull this off on a dumb and because if you know anything, and thank God for our founding fathers, thank God that we don't live in a quote-unquote democracy. I thank God every day, CJ. Can you imagine New York and California? New York and California libtards calling the shots for the rest of the country? Can you imagine the nightmare that would be? Of course they want to get rid of the Electoral College. And I thank God that the founding fathers, they had the foresight. They had that amazing godly wisdom that said to themselves, hey, you know what? We're not going to completely and wholly rely upon the public in mass to make the right decisions. We're going to have an electoral college. And the electoral college, folks, year after, decade, every 4 years or so, every single election cycle for presidency, for the last 240 some odd years, the electoral college has been something that is extremely damn near impossible to hack. You see, you don't know in electoral college, you don't know what a swing state's going to be. And the swing states keep changing, number one. Number two, it keeps the playing field open. So even though you can hack and election meddle with election hacking computers that can hack voting machines, you can't do that in every single damn state, because if you make the hacking so damn overt, then it's obvious that the election has been stolen. You don't want a public uprising. So what do? Well, to ensure, you do in areas where there's a close enough race, you hack for the candidate of your choosing. You hack for the candidate that is the subservient member of the deep state. And to ensure of that, you also, as an additional means of security, have another candidate run against your candidate. And that other candidate will be just as compromised. So no matter who wins, the American public loses. Enter the 2016 election. Enter Donald Trump. A man that nobody took seriously. A man who did not, and if you know anything about this guy from the 80s, never belonged, never hated the elites, and he was hated by the elites. That is a God-honest truth. Trust me, I've been following Donald since the 80s. So here he is. Is he a perfect candidate? Does he do everything that we want him to do? No, he's not. But he's the best damn thing we got. And here's the deal. So now you have a candidate who wasn't supposed to win because it was supposed to be your chosen golden boy, Jeb, low energy Jeb. But low energy Jeb got filleted. He got bludgeoned. He got savaged on the Republican primaries by Donald Trump. And now it was Trump and Hillary. And now the deep state apparatchiks start panicking. The mechanisms and the machinations of the deep state all of a sudden are in threat. They're all of a sudden in danger of failing. And they couldn't hack everything. Why? Why? Because of this blessed thing called the Electoral College. And that's the God-honest truth, folks. That's why they couldn't steal the election for Hillary. No matter how many stinking illegals voted, no matter how many from the dead, resurrected from the dead, voters suddenly showed up to vote, the bitch still couldn't win. And Trump swept, where it counted, the Electoral College. So you can win the popular vote. The popular vote don't mean jack. Thank God. It's like playing a football game. You could have 10,000 yards worth of positive field goal production. Positive yardage, excuse me. You could have had a running back who ran 2,000 yards in one game. You could have a quarterback throwing 8,000 yards in a game. But you're not scoring touchdowns, you see. Touchdowns is what matters. And that's kind of like how the Electoral College is. You could have all the yardage you want. You could have all the popular vote you want. You could have it all. But it's about how you're putting points on the board. And those points on the board is the Electoral College votes. And that's how Trump blew out Hillary. Our founding fathers, God bless their souls, when they put together this hermetic republic, yes, it's a hermetic republic, they knew what the heck they were doing. Thank God for them. One of the Russian meddling in our democracy has been Representative Marcy Kaptur. That's the best last name I've ever heard, CJ. Kaptur. She's definitely a captor. Last year, she signed a letter to the Speaker of the House demanding that the Homeland Security and the FBI, Freaky Boys International, brief Congress on the Russian attack on the 21 states' voting systems. A charge since been disproven. No matter how many times Russia is hacking our power grid, disproven. Russia is hacking 21 states and their voting systems, disproven. In fact, Siege, the Attorney General of the state of Georgia found on the night of the vote of last year of 2016, right? The night of the vote, Siege, they found that an entity was indeed trying to breach their firewall. CJ, could you name the name of that entity for us, please?
It wouldn't have happened to be Homeland Security, would it be?
There it is.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
They were doing it as a test.
It was just a test. The Attorney General of Georgia goes to the Department of Homeland Security and said, "Hey, jackoffs, why the heck were you guys trying to breach our firewall during the election process in our voting districts?" It was a test. Right. And I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Yes. Captor is furious over unproven claims the Russians fiddling in our democracy, while at the same time demanding that the U.S. fiddles in Hungary's democracy. Last week, Representative Captor and 22 Democrat colleagues, all of them brain dead. All of them brain dead with IQs that, if you combine them together, they could possibly warm toast. Sent a letter to President Trump's Assistant Secretary of the State of Europe, Wes Mitchell, demanding the reinstatement of a canceled State Department program sent $700,000 to finance anti-government stories in Hungary's media in advance of the 2019 local elections in that country. Wow. Wow.
Imagine that.
They want the State Department to spend $700,000 of taxpayers' money to create fake news to finance anti-government hysteria over in Hungary. To do what? Oh, so we can have another Ukraine. So we can maybe have another Syria. Maybe another Libya. Maybe we like to see these disgusting, evil, satanic beings love nothing more than to see wanton destruction without limit. 700,000. Supporting an independent media in Hungary should be a priority. Look how nice it sounds. Supporting independent media in Hungary should be a priority. Well, the media is independent in Hungary. And they do take shots at Orban. So what the hell are they talking about? Oh, let me rephrase that. What they're really saying here, folks, is this. Supporting a U.S. deep state friendly proxy media to foment and create a fifth column within Hungary should be a priority for the United States. Why is that even a priority for the U.S.? Does Captor and her Capitol Hill idiots not understand the basic fact that when a foreign government funds a sector of another country's media, that media can no longer be considered quote-unquote independent? How is it not meddling in Hungary's democracy for the United States government to finance stories attacking the democratically elected Hungarian government? And Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, Humpty Dumpty scowled at Alice for demanding that his words mean something. Humpty said, "When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less." This is the world of Representative Marcy Captor and all of the Washington interventionists. They have been stricken with hysterical paranoia for 2 years over unproven claims that Putin was pulling our strings when we went to the ballot box. CJ, did you know it's because of the Russian hacking that Khabib Nurmagomedov destroyed Conor McGregor in UFC 229? Did you know that, CJ?
I did see it. Yeah, I did see it. Yes,
it was Russian hacking that Khabib pounded and made that glass-jawed leprechaun skull bounce off the canvas repeatedly over and over again. It was Russian hacking. And that's why Putin called him and said, "Congratulations, Khabib. You did an amazing job of smashing him." Yeah, it's Russian hacking. That's why they need to investigate that. This shows you, folks, that till this day, idiots who should not be who should not be allowed near a lemonade stand, who should not be allowed to even operate a lemonade stand, let alone a government, should be allowed anywhere near the levers of control. This is a problem we have here, man. This is a problem. This ends, folks, when we, quote unquote, we the people say enough is enough. Anyway, there's some news on the oil prices, but here I want to touch on this. The Chinese, folks, the Chinese middle class are starting to go through what we, the American middle class, have been through in 2008. The Chinese middle class is going through what we, the American middle class, have been through in 1987, what we've been through in 1971, what we've been through in 1929, and what we've been through in 1933, and what we've been through in 1869. They're going through a massive housing price slide, and the real estate bubble in China is starting to bounce, starting to burst, excuse me. First, when you look at foreign real estate, when you look at real estate holdings of nations throughout the world, like China, you have to understand that real estate holding is a mechanism of money laundering, of capital movement. That's what this whole entire scheme is. Last March, we discussed a few things as important for China's wealth effect and economy, and this from our guys over at Zero Hedge, as its housing market. Specifically, my favorite bank, Deutsche Bank, calculated at the time that in 2016, the rise of property prices boosted household wealth in the 37 Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities by 24 trillion RMB, almost twice the total disposable income of 12.9 trillion RMB. The German lender added that this rather fleeting wealth effect may be helping to sustain consumption in China despite slowing income growth. A decline of property price would obviously have a large negative effect. In other words, folks, they're going through what we went through. They never thought that the housing prices would come down. They thought that the pricing would balloon higher and higher, and higher it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. They just thought to themselves, like we did back in 2006 and 7, this thing is going to go on forever. Not understanding that economic mother nature has a principle. You cannot have perpetual growth in the face of limited resources. You cannot have perpetual growth in the face of limited resources. It just can't happen. And all of a sudden now there's protests, throwing of rocks, holding banners, putting up funeral wreaths, all sorts of stuff. Why? Because the phantom wealth effect in some of these large Chinese cities have come to an end. Similar incidents took place all throughout suburban Shanghai, where the same developer slashed prices on another project called One Mansion by a quarter. While the protests have been isolated so far, the risk of that is a greater slide in property prices. The more widespread popular anger will become, quote, property accounts for roughly 70% of the urban Chinese family's total assets. A home is both wealth and status. And that's the stupid part of it. You need to understand your home is not a signet of your wealth. And people need to understand that your home is not an asset. If you think your home is an asset, then you, my friend, are an ass hat. People don't want prices to increase too fast, but they don't want them to fall too quickly. Folks, here's the deal, right? Right now in Billionaires Row in Manhattan, which is Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue, right here in New York City. Billionaires Row. Foreclosures are up higher than they've been in 2009. Siege, I was reading this statistic. Foreclosures in Manhattan are up 79%, bro.
Wow.
Manhattan.
I'm not hearing that in the news. That's massive.
Yes, Manhattan. You know Manhattan, where you pay $3,000 a month for a closet space?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Manhattan, where I was just looking at, hey, could I buy a brownstone for $1 million? Not that I have $1 million to go buy a brownstone. Well, I just was looking. Just looking. The starting price is like $6 million, bro, for a little brownstone home. You can't, I mean, Manhattan. The bubble of bubbles. The real estate magnate of the world is Manhattan. And now they are 79% highest foreclosure rate since the collapse, number one. And number two, the commercial real estate is imploding. Imploding. Why? Because a great deal of commercial real estate in Manhattan was held by who? China.
Yeah.
And since Xi Jinping's crackdown on capital flight and the U.S. Congress passing the Foreign Investors Act, where foreign investors cannot hold U.S. real estate, now we're seeing the effect of that, where commercial properties, whole swaths of the city, CJ, whole swaths of the city, blocks with closed stores, empty stores. It's crazy, man. But these are real numbers, and this is real reality.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
it is. Absolutely.
Anyway, what else we got, Siege?
King steps in
Jeez.
rider.
Say
The
again?
king steps in rider. He's got to defend himself.
Yeah, dude, it's. You heard the story about that missing Saudi journalist, huh? Some people are saying he's a spy. Some people are saying that he's not a spy. Some people are, dude, I don't know what to make of it, man.
I can give you my theory.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Okay. Trump has emphasized a couple of times now that there was no backroom negotiations with bringing this pastor home, right? Brunson. And you're probably asking, well, how does this make any sense? Here's what I think. I think that we brokered a deal with Turkey to bring Andrew Brunson home, who has been definitely linked to the CIA, been linked to potentially have helped with the overthrow of Erdogan with that United States. What's his name? We house him here, and Turkey wants him back. Mm-hmm. So and Sybil Edmonds on Newsbud has broken this down, where the CIA actually sent in a hit team in to kill Brunson because they were wanting to create a massive issue with Turkey and the United States. And this is when the whole Syria thing was falling apart, and Trump wouldn't, jump into that. So my theory is that we brokered a deal for whatever reason with Turkey to apply some type of political pressure to the Saudis in exchange for bringing Brunson home. And you may ask, well, why does that make sense? Well, where did a lot of the proof regarding this journalist come from? In case I'm wrong, I think a lot of the proof, the videos, and everything else came specifically, from Turkey. Mm-hmm. So now you have Congress passing an act to hold the Saudis accountable. You have the administration stepping up pressure. So I think they negotiated, yes, we will do this. We're going to do this to the Saudi kingdom. You return our CIA asset in exchange. And I think maybe he's a good guy. I don't know. Maybe Brunson is a good guy, and he's going to share what exactly happened with that overthrow, that attempted coup with Erdogan. But I don't think the pastor Brunson is exactly who we think he is, right? Just due to his CIA connections. And I think it was kind of I don't want to say it was a bad deal, but what I do want to say is that I've heard Trump say, like, on numerous occasions, oh yeah, he said on an interview last night, he even said it today before he boarded I think he's heading down to Florida. He said, yeah, and we did it without negotiating any back-end deals. I'm like, you got to be kidding. You're dealing with Erdogan. You cannot tell me that there wasn't some type of. So I think in part what we're witnessing is Brunson came home, and the U.S. agreed to apply pressure on the Saudis. Could be a couple fold here. It could be that. That's one aspect, one angle of it. The second could be is that I'm sure that we have intelligence about how much the Saudis have been partnering up with Russia and China. So now we might be, calling the kingdom out in this method as a way of threatening them that, listen, stop fooling around with Russia and China, because if not, we're going to have to take other steps, and we'll do it politically. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
think about it. Okay, think about it. Okay, the United States has provided air cover in an illegal war in Yemen. Yeah. Thousands upon thousands, women and children have died, and now the American people, who have been dumbed down so much by the MSM, are going to be led to believe that this is after a journalist who is critical of the Saudi regime. But yet the United States militarily supports these illegal acts in Yemen of the Saudis. But we're going to be led to believe this one action is what's going to be at the brink where we're going to be putting sanctions or some type of action against the kingdom. It doesn't add up, V. There's a lot of maneuvering happening in the background that we have no knowledge. But what I just said is just completely theory. I'm just analyzing this over the week and trying to understand, how this chess game is happening with Turkey, United States, and the Saudis.
Yeah, dude, it makes perfect sense to me, because there's something here that's being at play, and people are using this saying, hey, you know what, can this be more fuel to the fire, so to speak, for higher oil prices? That specter is there, and that puts pressure back on our economy, and it's a fragile economy. It is a fragile economy. There's a lot of things in the U.S. economy that need to get developed, that need to get fixed in order for it to really, really grow to the next level. We haven't gone to the next level, man. It's like we haven't even put a band-aid on the broken arm. We haven't even done that. What we've done is, since Trump came to office, and it's a good thing that he's done this, and it's better than nothing at this point, but we need to move further to the next step, because if we stay where we are right now, we're still going to get broken down and destroyed. It's like, we got a bad gash, right? We got a broken body. Well, what we've done is we've cleaned up the wound. We've cleaned up the wound. We got rid of a lot of the taxes. We got rid of a lot of the regulations. Okay, we're making it easier for business to come and invest. We've only cleaned the wound, but we haven't dressed it yet. We haven't sutured it up. We haven't treated it yet. We haven't pumped the body with the antibiotics to get the toxicity out of the system yet. We've yet to do that. So we're in stage one. We wiped off the dirt, and now we've cleaned the wound. We haven't put medication on it. We haven't put any antibacterial ointments on it. We haven't sutured it up. We haven't put a gauze on it. We haven't put a Band-Aid on it. We haven't given it some antibiotics internally to fight any sort of coming infections. We haven't done anything but clean the wound. That's where we are economically. We've just cleaned the wound. But if we don't fix it, that infection will run rampant, and we're going to face economic sepsis. We're going to face economic sepsis. And at that point, the only thing you got to do is you got to kill the entire organism. You have to kill the system. Or better yet, what you have to do is, once we go into sepsis, you're going to have to hack that limb off. You're going to have to hack whatever limbs you got. You might want to take out 2 limbs, maybe 3, maybe all 4, in order to save the organism's life. So the more we wait, the worse it gets. That's the situation. So, folks, look, I understand what these guys are trying to do, the quote-unquote good guys, right? I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make us come out of this economic situation while still holding on to superpower status. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's no way we're going to go through this without shedding quote-unquote superpower status. We don't need that burden anymore. Let's toss it off to the side. It's archaic. It's obsolete. We don't need it. We don't need 934 military bases in 139 some odd countries. We don't need any of that. Let's bring our troops home. Let's cut the military budget. Let's make our military what it's supposed to be, a defensive army. The finest fighting force in the world, but a defensive army nonetheless. And let's stop the nonsense. Let's put all that money back into the private sector. Oh my God, can you imagine the wealth and prosperity, CJ, if we did that? Can you imagine?
Massive. Yeah.
Oh my God. We'd be on the next. We could practically eliminate poverty if we do that. But poverty is a useful weapon in the hands of the elite. God forbid, Siege. God forbid.
Yep.
Anyway, folks, that cuts down on all the topics that we covered. Again, folks, subscribe. I cannot tell you enough to subscribe. Show your love, your support. Make it happen for us over here at roguenews.com. And with that being said, CJ, take it away.